We will have Russ and Elizabeth tell us how we can practically work with the foundation right here and now in our area. Russ deFuria, Regional Foundation Coordinator, Zone 32. Rotary International will tell us about the Rotary International Foundation, how it works, why it's important to support, and how grant-making benefits local Rotary clubs around the world. Mr. deFuria is a member of the Rotary Club of Upper Darby Lansdowne since 1985 and served as president in 1992 and 1993. In 2002, he was selected as Rotarian of the Year in his club. The highlight of Russ's time in Rotary is the year he served as district governor for District 7450 in 2007 and 2008, with the international theme of Rotary Shares. As past district governor, he previously served as Assistant Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator. Coordinator and forgive me. As past district governor, he previously served as Assistant Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator for Zone 32 and was Council on Legislation representative for District 7450 in both 2013 and 2016. His past district activity included serving as District Rotary Foundation Chair 2008 to 2011, and Vocational Service Committee for 2 terms as chairman from 1995 to 1997. Mr. deFuria and his wife Dawn and their daughters are all Paul Harris Fellows. He and his wife are major donors, Bequest Society members, and members of the District 7450 Paul Harris Society. Mr. deFuria is also a Guy Gundaker Fellow and a recipient of the Rotary Service Above Self Award and the Rotary Foundation Citation for Meritorious Service. As we move on, I want to also introduce Elizabeth Davis. Elizabeth Davis is the annual giving officer for Zone 28 and 32. Elizabeth serves as the Rotary Foundation Annual Giving Officer and collaborating with the zone district leaders, developing strategies and supporting giving initiatives for Rotary Annual Fund. In addition, Elizabeth provides expertise in developing personal giving plans, donor gratitude initiatives, and peer-to-peer fundraising. Elizabeth has 5 years of fundraising experience, during which she has overseen the international donor stewardship projects, facilitated fundraising and donor recognition events, managed online fundraising tools, and overseen Rotary's annual Ride to End the Polio online fundraising campaign, which has raised upwards of $3.4 million. Elizabeth graduated from Biola University in Miranda, California, with a BA in communication skills. She holds a certificate in mediation training from Northwestern University, and it is a past fellow for the Developmental Leadership Consortium of Chicago. So, Elizabeth and Russ, be welcome.
Thank you, Roger. Be talking about our positions and whatnot, just to give you a real thumbnail sketch for those of you who may not even know what the heck a zone is. Zone 32 basically extends from Maine down to Pennsylvania and New Jersey and encompasses 22 districts. I have 6 assistants. Our whole purpose is to support the districts and all of their clubs in all things Rotary Foundation, from different forms of giving to grants and whatever questions you would have. Elizabeth is a fantastic resource as our staff person, be able to help you in all areas of kinds of giving questions that you may have. So we appreciate the opportunity to be with you for a few minutes this morning. So what we want to talk in terms of the foundation is to get you to think about the foundation in a little bit different vein than you may have previously, which is, our foundation as a true membership benefit. New way of looking at things, helping to grow Rotary, grow your clubs through our foundation. It's a real opportunity. Look, most of you are going to be president or are presidents-elect of your clubs. You have a lot of things on your mind. The Rotary Foundation is just one piece of what you have to do with. But think in terms of the foundation of what it can do for you and for your club's success in the coming year. After all, everybody's favorite radio station is WIIFM, right? What's in it for me? And the foundation can really be a help in that aspect. We want you to not think of it as a cost, but think of it as a benefit to you. But make no mistake, Julia touched on the giving needs. You, as the president of the club, will be the driving force. I don't care how great a foundation committee chair you have, how great a committee you have. If it's going to happen, it's going to be up to you to be the driving force. So we look in this slide and it says, you already know. So we don't want to bore you with a bunch of Rotary basics today. You can go online on My Rotary and find everything out you need to know about the basics. In the Learning Center, many opportunities for you to find out, get a little more depth on things you want. It's like a labyrinth. There's so much that you may be interested in. You could probably spend days on there. But really what we want to touch on today is not just the basics, but info that will take you a little bit beyond that and get you to think a little differently. Okay, next slide. Okay, so just to talk about some basic facts, for those of you who feel like you may need to sell this foundation to your club to think differently than they've thought in the past. So we said, first of all, one of the most highly rated and respected foundations in the world. You may have heard the statement about Charity Navigator. Charity Navigator is one of the leading rating organizations for foundations around the world. And it has given Rotary its 4-star rating for 13 consecutive years. We've been among the highest rated foundations in the entire world. Fantastic transparency. What you give to the foundation, you can track exactly what's happening with that money. The foundation is supported primarily by Rotarians like you and me. This isn't someone else that makes this happen. You and I make this happen. You and I have a say in how those funds are distributed and the impact in the world that they can make, such as the things you heard in Julie's presentation. Very, very important. And that's a couple of the reasons that I'm so passionate about the foundation is the fact that I feel part of it and I feel like I can make a difference. How many other things that we donate to do you have that where you can say? Our foundation helps to change and save lives around the world and right here at home. Sometimes we think in terms of maybe they do projects in the Philippines, maybe they do projects in Africa, but do you realize the impact that it can have right here at home as well? Whether it be a district grant or a global grant, there are needs right in our own communities that could be addressed and could be the secret to helping your club become more relevant in that area. Next slide. Elizabeth?
All right, thanks, Russ. Man, I tell you, Russ and Julia are tough acts to follow, but I'll see what I can do here. So thanks for having me here this morning, everyone. I know Russ just mentioned that we're not going to spend a ton of time talking about foundation basics because you probably know a lot of basics already, or you can go to a learning center, but we would be remiss if we didn't spend at least a couple minutes going over a few key terms just so we can have that base. So first, we are going to talk about the annual fund share. So this is our foundation's primary vehicle for members to invest in Rotary projects, just like Julia was talking about earlier this morning. When club members contribute, their gifts are invested for 3 years, and then it is split between district designated funds and the World Fund, which funds global grants and other foundation programs. Next is Rotary Direct, which also was mentioned this morning. It is our recurring giving program. It is one of the easiest and most secure ways for members to support our foundation and to make progress toward their philanthropic goals. Next is Every Rotarian Every Year, or E-Ray, as you may have heard it referred to. It's a fundraising initiative for the annual fund. It's based on the idea that if every Rotarian gave at least $25 every year to the annual fund, the possibilities of what the foundation could accomplish would be multiplied. If every member in your club contributes $25 within a year, with an average of $100 in per capita giving, then you'll qualify for what we call the E-Ray Club banner. Next is sustaining members. These are individuals who contribute at least $100 to the annual fund every year and are one of the most valued groups of our donors. You can become a sustaining member with just $10 per month through Rotary Direct. Then we have Paul Harris Fellows. These are donors who cumulatively give at least $1,000 or more to the annual fund, or Polio Plus, or to an approved foundation grant. Fellows receive a special pin and one recognition point for every dollar that they contribute. There are 9 fellow levels with different pins going all the way to the $9,000 level in cumulative giving. Once you reach $10,000, then you become recognized as a major donor. Then we have the Paul Harris Society, which is different from being a Paul Harris Fellow, but related. Paul Harris Society members are folks who are generous and faithful donors who pledge to contribute $1,000 every year to the annual fund, Polio Plus fund, or an approved grant. So the one happens with your giving and the other one is you pledging to make that gift on an annual basis. Then we have our areas of focus. These are the foundation's 7 dedicated causes for grant funding, which include water and sanitation hygiene, basic education and literacy, disease prevention and treatment, maternal and child health, peace building and conflict prevention, community, economic development, and last but not least, our newest area of focus, supporting the environment, which we'll be talking about in further detail in just a few minutes. Then we have district and global grants. These are our main project funding opportunities provided by the foundation, from small scale short-term activities in local communities to large international activities with sustainable, measurable outcomes. Then we have district designated funds, also known as DDF. This is the money that's derived from a portion of contributions to annual fund share once it has gone through that 3-year investment cycle. It is at the district's discretion to decide how to allocate the money to pay for club and district projects. And then last but not least, we have Polio Plus, which Julia talked so much about. This is our fund to help pay for initiatives that are working to eradicate polio from the world, which is, again, one of Rotary's top priorities and has been for more than 35 years. Okay, so that was like a fire hose of information. We won't talk about any of that anymore, just kidding. But if you have any questions about any of that, we'll have some time, hopefully at the end of the presentation, to discuss things further. But for now, I'll pass it back over to Russ to keep talking about some other stuff.
So before you change that slide, guys, thank you, Elizabeth. One important thing it was reminded in the chat is that, you each have very, very competent foundation committees and chairs in each of your districts who can support you on this. So don't worry if you don't know everything about everything. Your jobs as presidents-elect and becoming presidents is to lead the club, to set a vision. There are plenty of people to support you in these efforts at your districts, and then we're there to support them as well. So there's no question that can't be helped by someone, from your district people to those of us in the zone coordinator positions to the staff. There's always people here to help you, and our whole goal is to help you be successful in the coming year. If nobody uses us, we're pretty much worthless. Next slide. Okay, so changing perceptions, and that's, if you get nothing out of what we're speaking about this morning other than this is our real goal, is to change the way you look at it. Some of us have been in Rotary a long time, some of us a very short time. Occasionally, we'll run in clubs that have one person that sits in the back of the room and doesn't really add things positive. I know this would never happen in any of your clubs, but they're the naysayer. And I want you to change that vision and think in terms of the possibilities. You saw from Julia's presentation some of the wonderful things that can happen. But did you ever consider how it can help you recruit new members looking to make a difference? I mean, if I'm a person who wants to make a difference in the world, I might be attracted to Rotary because now it's a group of like-minded individuals to help me reach that goal. Now the foundation gives even more power to get that. That's a real benefit that I think that we fail to use for getting new members in our clubs, or even for people looking to set up new clubs or satellite clubs to their own. Did you ever consider that it can give your club power to be even more relevant in your community? I mean, let's face it, we have in some cases struggles. We need to have awareness in our own communities. We need to have relevance in our communities. What better way than being part of these larger efforts, being able to do grants in our own communities that make a difference, being part of the larger world community and things like the End Polio Now program. Did you ever consider now more than ever, it will help your club focus on creating a safer environment for generations to come? You know, and this is a sweeping generalization that you may not agree with, but as we look to younger generation, I see more and more concern about the environment. This is a perfect opportunity to use this new avenue of service to make your club even more relevant, perhaps with that age group, to bring in as new members to your club. Next slide. Okay, so all of this, we're looking to challenge you to a new way of thinking. So what you see, it's basically a blank slate. You write what happens in this area. It's not a cost of membership. Okay, I think too often people think of the foundation, if we were approaching a new member, well, here's the dues and here's what happens. And oh, by the way, we expect you to make a donation, or we hope you'll make a donation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, don't look at it from that standpoint. Look at it as a significant benefit of membership. As a Rotarian, now you have an opportunity to be part of this wonderful organization that's changing and saving lives around the world. So that's a critical shift to this significant benefit that we all have. So those who see it as a benefit will be more likely to join your club and more likely to support the foundation once they do, because they'll see how the foundation and its power can help them achieve perhaps their own personal goals for making a difference in the world. Next slide, please. Okay, so looking to grow? I hope the answer for all of you is yes. Growing our clubs, growing our reach, growing our impact in the world. So if your club's looking to grow, do you want new members that are looking to make positive changes in your community? Would they be your target audience? How can your club help them to meet their goals, and thus they'll help you to reach your goals? Could a district grant help them in that area? Could they have perhaps an idea that now a grant could help them achieve? Again, it keeps coming back. Put it in terms of other people, because if you're doing for them, and they're going to want to do for you. So beyond a district grant, as I said before, perhaps you have people who just see the world around them. They would like to make an impact globally. They're concerned about the environment. They're concerned about health crises around the world. They can become part of End Polio Now, and they too can say, when this is eradicated, hey, I had a part that I made a difference. Next slide. Elizabeth?
All right, thanks, Russ. So you may have already heard about our newest area of focus, which I mentioned earlier. This area of focus is really exciting because it's been backed by a strong grassroots effort led by a growing number of Rotarians over the years. And so this past year, the Rotary Foundation trustees and Rotary International Board of Directors both unanimously approved adding this new area of focus, which is supporting the environment. In just 5 years alone, more than $18 million in foundation grant funding has been allocated to environment-related projects, which meant that it was finally time to create a distinct area of focus, which will give Rotary members even more ways to bring about positive change in the world and increase our impact now. And I'm excited to announce that grant applications for this focus will begin to be accepted starting July of this year. So if you haven't already started planning, now's the time to do so. Next slide, please. So what are some ways that you can plan to utilize the new environment area of focus? First, as I mentioned just a moment ago, you can plan to utilize the new and exclusive grant opportunities that will be available to you. When I say exclusive, I mean that there are very few organizations in the world right now who are moving to make a difference in the crisis on our environment the way that Rotary is about to. Here at Rotary, we're people of action. We're the first boots on the ground in many situations, and we are leading the way to create a future that our children and their children will be able to thrive in. Don't miss this opportunity to make a difference now. Set the example and leave an impactful legacy. But what are some project ideas you might be thinking? The environment sounds like a very broad scope. What would that even look like? How about starting a compost facility in your community to divert organic food waste from landfills? How about planting trees to increase the Earth's ability to absorb carbon dioxide and provide natural habitats for wildlife? How about installing solar energy grids for schools and hospitals in developing countries so that students and doctors alike can have reliable sources of clean energy? The possibilities here are really endless. Finally, how can you utilize your access to the new environment area of focus? Invite young people to join you. Do any of you want to see young people start joining your club? I invite young people to come and join you and your quest to support the environment, and I promise you they will come. Next slide, please. A study done by the Yale Program on Climate Change in 2018 found that 70% of young adults ages 18 through 35 say that they are worried about global warming. 70% of an entire generation. Let me tell you, and this is as a young person and not a Rotary staff member, I can tell you firsthand, because of my concern of the state of environment, I have chosen to become a vegan. I pay for a weekly municipal compost service to come and pick up my organic food waste. I've reduced all single-use plastic use from my life, and I only get takeout from restaurants that use recyclable containers. These are just a few ways that I am starting to make small changes in my own life to try to make a bigger impact on this issue. But give me the opportunity to take part in a large-scale sustainable environmental project, and I would totally be in. So give young people the opportunity to partner with you in this important work, and I promise you they'll come. Now I'm going to pass it back over to Russ, and I think we're going to have a few minutes to answer any questions that you may have about either the new area of focus, about the foundation in general. We'd really love to be here to be a resource for you in the next several minutes.
I have a question.
Yes, Gail.
So I'm starting a garden project, and some of the things you mentioned are things that we have planned. So like we're going to be having an on-site compost facility it's in an actual neighborhood and right next to a school. And we would be providing the opportunity for people to bring their waste on a daily basis so that we can actually use it in the garden. And we'd be looking for solar grids for the greenhouse that we're going to be building. So that would help us to avoid having to use any kind of other electricity to heat and power the greenhouse. And we'd also be looking for like using peat cups instead of plastic when we're planting the seedlings and teaching. Oh, there's gonna be an educational component. So it seems like a lot of things that we're doing would fit into this. But you mentioned that the grant applications are July. So normally our grant applications are due in March. So would this be something completely separate that we maybe hold off to do an environmental grant later on then?
Yeah, that's a great question. Russ, you have a little bit more grant expertise than I do, I'd like to say, in this area. What is your take on that?
Could you repeat the question, please?
So basically, they're doing, her district 7430 is doing a bunch of environmental work already, and they're wondering if they should wait to apply for a grant until after July, or
the garden project wouldn't actually be going in until the spring of 2022. But my impression, you know, with usually with the grant writing is that we have to have these grants in by the end of March, and you mentioned July. So I was just asking about the timeline.
Russ, perhaps I can help her.
Go right ahead.
Gail, you're okay. The grants are accepted after July 1st. And our district grant application for the next Rotary year is through March 1st. So you're okay with applying for your project, which we talked about. They're talking about overall Rotary, so it's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Cindy.
Elizabeth and Russ, first of all, you're both awesome. Thank you for your participation and your help with this. As we look at the other 6 areas of focus, everybody on this call can share ideas because they've been doing it for such a long time. We don't have a lot of ideas about the environment. We have a handful. Is there someone in Evanston who's collecting these ideas and sharing them out in the field with us? Or should there be?
We are actually in the process of hiring a new area of focus manager for the environment. And so that individual will be a huge resource. They will be a subject matter expert in the field. And as soon as we get them hired in, I'm sure that they would be very happy to start getting to work assisting with clubs.
Thank you very much.
And I think that would have probably already been accomplished if we weren't in the circumstances we are, where everyone is still working from home. So great question, Chuck.
And great point. Thank you.
May I jump in?
Please.
Please. So I would just encourage everyone to go and look at the previous 6 areas of focus documents, because what you will see in each of those documents is a little green leaf. And that green leaf signifies that this is a project that is an environmental project. So there are examples of environmental projects. As Elizabeth said, we've already been giving global grant money to environmental projects over the course of years. And so there are some projects there that can already serve as examples for environmentally sound projects going forward if you're looking for ideas. And I believe that the document related to this new area focus is coming out. If it hasn't already come out, it may be coming out after the April meeting of the trustees. And so that'll give you more direction, more what you can do, what you can't do, what, what fits for sustainability, what fits for what the evaluation piece that you would need to complete. So that document related specifically to this new area of focus should be very, very helpful for folks when writing global grants, which is different than the district grants that you're writing.
Julia, it's a great point for those of we're talking about the new area of focus for the environment. The environment has been woven through other, water and sanitation. There were grants that have been done over the years that had environmental impact. It's just the fact that Rotarians felt that this is such a critical area that it needed to have its own specific area of focus.
Absolutely correct, Russ. Absolutely.
Bill Donnelly, you had asked the question. The chat is moving quicker than I can keep up with in trying to watch the screen. Were there other questions on the chat that you'd like us to address?
Let's see. Give me, yeah, I know. Give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Russ threw that back to me. I threw it to him. He throws it back to me.
Can I ask one quick question?
That's what a
Yeah,
PD
go.
does.
I know. No, I know I'm not a mute. Go ahead.
What were the dates again for applying for a grant? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The dates for applying for a district grant?
Yes.
Was that the question? They're going to
Yeah.
vary by district to district. Typically, they're going to be in the April and May timeframe.
Right.
The committees on each of the districts will compile those to be submitted for July 1st.
Okay,
Am I
could you
answering the question?
clarify that? So is the ECHO grant a separate grant than the district grant? That's what I'm unclear on.
One more time on the question, the sound is breaking up.
Is the environmental grant separate than, sorry, I didn't realize my video is off. Is the environmental grant a separate grant application than the district grant application?
No, in other words, your district, that will just be in other areas of focus that you could do a grant, whether it be a district grant or a global grant. But no, it won't be any kind of separate forms or whatnot.
So
you're
it has, but it has this, a different deadline than the district grants we're working on for our year.
District grant, the district grants, we have multiple districts here, right? Each district has slightly different procedures on how they handle district grants, okay? But for your district, they would handle it the same way. It would just be one more area of focus. In fact, around the world, some districts don't even require the district grants fit within an area of focus. I believe most of ours do. But no, nothing, no separate form, no separate deadline. If it's a global grant that you're looking to achieve, they have a rolling deadline. There is no cutoff on those.
And
Is
so
that
what was the
Nicole, may I answer
July
the question?
1st, what was the July 1st date that was mentioned? I thought it sounded like it was not going to be open until July 1st.
Right. July 1st is when the new avenue, the new area of focus, begins. Okay. And I will tell you, quite frankly, we're sitting here at this point in the year where funds in the World Fund to match grants are beginning to diminish anyway. So that's the target. If you had a new global grant that you were trying to do, lining up your international partners, lining up the project, targeting for a July submission for that. Is that the question? I just want to make sure we're getting the question right. The whole Zoom thing versus a face-to-face, sometimes I want to make sure we're answering what the intent you have.
I'm still a little unclear, but I have a number of folks in my club and district that are jumping up to say, I'll talk to you after the meeting. So instead of me dominating any more time, yeah, thank you.
No problem.
If I could just jump in, I just have a question. I know, Elizabeth, you had said that in April, there's going to be somebody who is specifically focusing on environmental projects. What's the best contact person for incoming presidents?
That's a great question. So we have yet to actually fill the position. We're still in the hiring process. However, if there should be an announcement that is made once that position is filled. And if you actually just reach out to the Rotary Support Center, they would be able to get you in contact with that person, or get you in contact with someone who could give you more details on when that position will be filled.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
So before we run out of time, can we go back to our slide deck, to the last slide?
Yeah, I heard. Hold on.
Okay. It's good to see you doing something, Bill.
All right, Russ. I hear you. Hold on.
Anyway, the last slide when Bill gets that pulled up. So you're, as I understand, going to breakouts with facilitated discussion about what we've talked about here. So last slide. Just wanted to touch briefly on the bullet points to guide the discussion, because I think they'll help continue the idea of getting you to think about the Rotary Foundation in a little different vein. There you go. He's doing. One more. Okay, so here they are. And you know, Elizabeth and I spent a lot of time talking about this, and think if you're going to change thinking, this would be a great way for you to phrase it. So how can you, as presidents next year, use the Rotary Foundation, I like to say our foundation, to build your club's relevance in the community? You've heard that word relevance come up a couple of times today. How can you utilize the new environment area focus to grow your club? We talked on that a little bit, but you may have different ideas of projects within your own community. And finally, how can you be a catalyst for changing the perception of the Rotary Foundation in your club? You know, I keep stressing the fact that every time I've been at a PETS, you're the leader. Don't allow any negative feelings or feelings you don't agree with in your club beat you down. You're the leader. Don't be afraid to rock the boat, as they say. You know, you don't want to tip it over, but it's fine to rock it a little bit and create some activity and forward motion in your clubs. So I hope you'll enjoy discussing those and have a good discussion. Appreciate your time and your attention. If you have any questions, both Elizabeth and I are always available to try to help. Thanks.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And Russ, it's always good to hear about the foundation and how it can benefit us as we try to grow Rotary.